Hey, everybody. So excited to get started with you. OMG. Hello, hello. Feel free to drop an emoji. How are you feeling? And what are you excited? Like, what are you looking forward to learning today? What's your intention for showing up on the call today? I just dropped the song. We're listening to an instrumental of a Charlie XCX Out of My Head. Yay. Yay. I love to learn from Nike too. Give folks just another minute or two to roll in. Okay. Okay, that is multitasking. Tuning in from a break mid protest. Love that. Okay. Right. So I just wanted to do a very, very quick review of the call guidelines. Number one being to treat each other with kindness, to remember that there's real people behind these screens, to please show up with enthusiasm and to just share your presence, share your magic. You know, you bringing your voice forward, even within a space like this, really changes the energy, changes the dynamic, changes the experience for us and also for Nike as our guest. You know, I always say, like, be off camera if that feels most comfortable for you, but I feel like it is always nice to see as someone leading a call that there's maybe even a few faces. So I always say, like, you know, take turns. Like, if you see some folks who are on camera a lot of the time go off camera, maybe you could pop on for a little bit and like move in shifts so that there's always, you know, some visual engagement here, to remember that you are not required to be perfect within this space. And within this space is the call, but also within the whole challenge, y'all. I've been seeing inside of the Telegram some folks saying, like, oh, I, you know, fell off for a day, so my brain is, you know, telling me that I should just quit the whole thing. No, 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 no. That is not the point for us to be super rigid with ourselves and to hold ourselves to the standard of perfection within the challenge. This is a messy challenge. This is the whole point of this is to get you to just show up. And that doesn't mean showing up perfectly. So don't feel as though you have to show up perfectly within this space or within the challenge overall. Please use gender neutral words when referring to the group, hey babes, hey y'all, etc., and to not assume the gender or pronouns of others within the group. So to default to using gender neutral pronouns, they, them pronouns for everyone when referring to anyone, unless you know for certain what someone's pronouns are. Yeah, bring your magic into this space. You are what makes this so special. And as you're going forward, as Nike is teaching and sharing, we'd love to hear what is coming up for you. Like what is hitting, what feels relevant, what are you excited about to show up with some enthusiasm and some life, um, just as a little token of gratitude to Nike. And I want to give y'all just a huge thank you for showing up, for blessing us with your presence, with your energy, with your attention, with your time today. I know y'all are very busy. You have a lot going on. So thank you. I'm so glad that you're here, and it's been so fun to get to be in this micro portal with y'all through the challenge, even just being a few days in. Yes, still getting started with the challenge, showing up in your robe. I love that, Sam. Bless the mess. Hashtag God bless this mess. God bless this mess. Yes, to learn from other BIPOC women and our allies is your fucking intention, and to risk yourself in the sense of community, tuning in from the kitchen, putting your groceries away. Okay, I love it. Love it. Okay, let's get into it. Nike, hello. Thank you for being our guest today. Nike was our community and inclusion consultant inside of Witch and Famous Brand Visibility School last year, which is when we ran our first visibility challenge. And it was really exciting to see after students spent months diving into their brand messages, brands identities, their marketing presence, to really put all the learning into practice through the challenge. And Nike jumped in as well and joined in the challenge and just had such incredible growth from it. And I also feel like I really witnessed you find your lane completely. Like you really honed in on your thing and your way. I was really inspired by how you approached the challenge too, doing it in a way that was maybe different than how a lot of folks tell you you have to grow. I saw you grow without showing your face every single day on Reels or having to do video every single day. I feel like you really crafted and harnessed your message verbally, and that was really inspiring to me, that there's not just one way to do things. You can find your way and make it work for you. I also, saw through some of what you shared, some of the most impactful shifts for you were like energetic shifts of, not being afraid to say certain things, or kind of just tuning everything else out to focus in on what you're really here for, who you're really here for, what you're really here to do. And I'm just so excited to learn today a bit more about how you approach the challenge, your relationship to visibility, how, your relationship to showing up has shifted also as your community has grown, and whatever else you want to share with us. So thank you, Nike, for blessing us, and feel free to take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So yeah, I'm Nike. I'm a community consultant. So basically I help folks who have like community-based offers or organizations, or they work as leaders in community spaces. I help them make their spaces safer, which can mean taking like intention to action when it comes to their inclusion work, or making sure that their space is as equitable as possible, and also making sure they know how to understand and confront conflict when it inevitably happens in their space. So that's kind of what I do. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here with y'all. So excited to answer any questions. But yeah, it's so interesting because, yeah, as Tolia said, I was supporting the Witch and Famous community, and I saw the challenge and I was like, I might as well just do this. And I started doing it. And then I had one post that kind of blew up from it, and I've been consistently growing ever since. So it's kind of wild for me to think that like I don't know when that challenge was. I think it was the summer, right? Capitolia, like maybe June. I had 2,500 followers, and now I'm at 17,000. Um, which is something I never thought could happen, especially on Instagram, right? Everyone tells you like Instagram is really hard to like grow on and like you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to do this. And I was like, oh, I'm ADHD, like I'm exhausted by thinking about all the things I have to do. I don't want to do any of it. So, um, yeah, it's been like such a pleasure, like not only engaging in the challenge, but like really kind of navigating for myself, like, okay, like it's my social media. How do I want to show up with it? And like when I finally did do it, it actually worked. So yeah, it's been a really great learning experience and also a great way that's really like pushed me in terms of like just being visible, not only online and with my business, but like holistically in my life. So yeah. Um, And I think what I really learned from the challenge too was like honestly I think it just depends on your personality type and the things that you got going on in your capacity. But for me, especially being ADHD, I think sometimes I overthink things. Like when I was in grad school, like I would start an essay and then like completely discard it and then start over whenever I had to like pause. So I do that with a lot of things in my life. And so with like when I started posting, I was like, okay, like I'm saying I'm gonna post every day. Let me make it as simple as possible so that like I can have that capacity to post every day. Like if I'm making like these extravagant posts every single day, then I'm not going to be able to do it every single day because I'm putting so much energy in it. So I was like, okay, let me just find the way that I want to post. So I settled on, posting in feed post or carousels, whatever they're called with Instagram talk. Because I was like, I can't make a reel every day. Like that's gonna be too much. Um, and then I settled on like colors and fonts that I wanted to use and how I wanted to do it. So I decided to do like I call my carousels mini essays. Um, like little chunks of like yeah, like journal entries almost too of like okay, it's not like this post that has to look beautiful based on like Canva, but it's also not just like a one slide post where I feel like I can't say everything I want to say. So let me like use it as like my community journal entry slash essay, and I just like talk as much as I want to talk, and whoever wants to listen will listen. Um, so yeah, I kind of like settled on like, okay, how am I gonna format it? That's really simple, where I could just like essentially on Canva even copy the whole thing. I already have my username there and like the format I want to do. I'm just changing up what I'm talking about and I'm changing up some colors and I can consistently do that. So that's how I started. And then I think I kind of like tried a couple different things too. I was like, should I put like a little cute like duck on this one or should I put like a flower in this one or should I just do it plain? So I like tried some things too like creatively too. So I felt like I was like I can't fail basically. Like let me just try whatever. I can't fail. This is the time to do it. It's not like my engagement's gonna get less. So let me just try whatever. Um and then yeah, I think my post that blew up though was like a pretty like it was a post I was actually afraid to post because I was like, community or people I'm no longer building community with. I was like, "Ugh, this is negative, but whatever. I might hurt some people's feelings, but it's actually how I feel. And so that was the post that blew up, and I was like, oh, okay. Like if I'm just like honest and I do say the things I feel without caring what other people think, then I guess people do like it and they resonate with it. So um, ever since that post, I have consistently been posting and getting like not only engagement for those posts, but like opportunities and inquiries and things like that. Um, And I haven't even really changed what I've been talking about these past couple years. I think number one, I just kind of like stop listening to like how people tell you should show up on Instagram. I mean, I'm sure there's like great advice. Like I think yeah, reels are probably doing better and like if certain hashtags like it's important to like do and I'm sure like those things do matter, but like for example, like my reels don't do well at all actually. It's like my carousels that do well. So like a lot of folks are like, "Oh, carousels, okay." And like I do look at my hashtags, but not really. So it's like I think a balance of both and just kind of figuring out like, okay, like what do I want to do? And at the end of the day, like what am I proud that I'm putting out? Because I am proud of like my mini lessons that I put out. Like everything that I share is like things I really like think about and ponder about and like I'm proud to like stay say. So it's a balance of like yeah, taking those things into consideration because we are like on socials and they have their algorithm and the things they like to do, but also like in alignment like with my integrity and the things that I want to talk about and my values and what I'm cultivating on my page. So yeah, that's kind of the backstory of how um my experience was with the visibility challenge and how it's kind of lead into all the posts that I do right now. Um, but yeah, I don't know if there's any questions. Oh, I'm reading the comments. To be polarizing is to be comfortable with your truth a lot of the time. Yes, I agree.
I have some questions. One being like, how did you really hone in on your message? Like, because I feel like you always had this under overlying umbrella of community, but there were other things that you talked about sometimes too. And it feels like your focus really tightened through the challenge. Like, how did you decide ultimately, like, this is what I'm going to talk about? And like, do you feel like you had to let go of certain things for this to really take off?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually such a good question. So, like, yeah, I feel like I have a lot of different interests and things I want to talk about and kind of content I want to create, right? And so, with the challenge too, I think I was more intentional. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it on Instagram, right? Like, I have a TikTok. I have YouTube Shorts, but I'm just going to focus on Instagram and I'm just going to focus on community work because also that's something that I just see a lot of people really resonate with right now. I think a lot of us are realizing that like community is really important and then that a lot of us have kind of lost that skill or not even lost that skill, but like that skill that has been passed down ancestrally kind of has been a forgotten skill. And so we're learning again how to be community members in systems that don't really value communities as much. And so I was like, okay, this really resonates with me right now. And I see that really resonates with people and with all the chaos of the world right now, too. I think it's really important to speak on how we do need community spaces in order to support each other. Um, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on talking about this on Instagram. Like this is what my focus is. And then on my TikTok, I talk about whatever else, right? So I still have like another platform where like I could talk about my other interests. Like I talk about like make like weird like lip syncing videos and I talk about like my daily thoughts and like make my coffee there and all these things on TikTok where it's like, okay, I could still like engage in creating content there because I really enjoy creating content. But on Instagram, I could just like focus on the thing that my intention is, which is like to help, my business for folks to understand that. So, um, yeah, I think having one focus, especially again being ADHD, can be beneficial because, yeah, again, if I'm posting every single day with the challenge and I'm like, okay, I'm talking about this thing, but then the next day I'm talking about something else, for me personally, it just kind of like scatters my brain. So it was nice to just say, like, okay, I know I'm like a multifaceted person and I probably want to talk about all these different things, but I could put that on TikTok versus Instagram. And then like eventually, too, you never know because social media has changed, maybe I'll combine both again. So I think also just being flexible too is helpful. And then I saw, oh, Isabel has a question. Oh, wait, they're going. Do you also have a Substack email list or other platforms you reshare these essay posts? You know what, Isabel? That's such a good point. I probably should do. So right now I don't. I have an email list, but I don't use it as much as I should. Um, but honestly, for me, and I even tell my clients, right? Like I like to chunk things up. My background is education. I have my master's in special education and neurodivergent learning, and I'm still in special education. And so I'm kind of like, let me like do this first, and then do this, and then do this. So like my plan was like, okay, well, not even my plan, but what happened is my Instagram kind of blew up. So I was like, okay, a lot of people are clicking on my website. So then I got my quiz back and up and ready again as a funnel. And then what I've been doing is just like connecting more so for like one-on-ones and like workshops and things like that. So then like my next plan in like March is to find another way to funnel from Instagram because you never know with like the interwebs what's going to happen. Do y'all remember that time that Instagram shut down for like a day and then everyone was freaking out? That's what I always think about too. I'm like, so that's really a great question, Isabel. Definitely need to make sure I'm building that out. But again, to not overwhelm myself, I'm like, okay, let me chunk it up. More question. Oh, wait. And if I miss a question, please go ahead and rewrite it. I see Carly said, is there a structure to your carousels? Like this slide is for X, and the next is Y or a framework type of thing. Yeah, there is actually. So there's a couple things I like to do also that I've seen like work for other people. My first, um, for my carousels, I like to make them like 7+ posts, like seven. I guess the cap is 12 on IG, I think. Or I don't know if there's a cap anymore, but like 7 to 12 um slides. And then I like to do my hook for the first slide, which can kind of be hard. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is a really hooky, but I try to make the first slide a hook, straight to the point, not a lot of information. And then I put like as much information as I want for the next slides. And then my ending slide, if I have an offer, like sometimes I do workshops, or if I want to share my quiz, I'll put that on the last slide. Or I'll just make it like either a slide that maybe leads to another type of post I might be posting in the next week or something. So that there's kind of like you'll see sometimes my posts are like part one of a subject, and maybe the next post won't be part two, but then the part two will come in a week. Because also I've noticed some people too, it's like they like a certain subject, so maybe they want to learn more about it. So I don't know if this is like actually science when it comes to Instagram, but like for like some sort of like engagement, like continuous engagement, it's like, okay, if I notice a lot of people like this type of post, I'm going to do like a cliffhanger for the next post. So that's kind of like the structure that I have. And you'll notice with a lot of my posts, except maybe like one random, I don't know. I don't think so though, for like posts I've been posting lately. It basically follows the same structure. I just change up the colors and sometimes the fonts. And it just makes it easier for my brain too. And then whenever it stops working, because I think that's like inevitable, it's gonna stop working probably. I'll switch it up again. I'll like look and see like, oh, what do I have to tweak? And I only say it's inevitable because I blew up on TikTok first a couple years ago. But that's when I had a jewelry shop. It's a completely different thing. But I knew like on TikTok, okay, certain videos for when I talk about my jewelry do well, and then like it stopped, and then I had to like reimagine it and rethink it. So I'm just like prepared to do that if I have to mentally, of like maybe I'll have to switch up that structure. based on like the feedback that I'm getting. Um, Margarita said, when you say you focus just on one thing at a time, were you promoting a specific offer or were your mini essays related to all your offers in general? Like a specific point of view that that could apply to your work in general. I would say, okay, so my offers, right, are like to be someone's consultant or community manager. So people who have community spaces and they need someone to help support them so that they don't have to do it on their own. Like it's just easier to have someone support, especially the larger your community is. And then I do like workshops through like my business, or people hire me to do workshops for them. And then I've also been doing speaking engagements. So I guess the framing for my content is my biggest thing is speaking, right? Like, um, I think consulting is mostly just speaking too. So anything I could say, and I feel like I could speak well about it and it could resonate with folks. And then like could be attached to like people reaching out to say like, oh, I want you to do a workshop for me. Or if when I do workshops, like this is the offer, me talking more about this and how you can implement it in your community space. Um, or again with like speaking engagements for like when I'm applying to be a speaker and they look at my social media, if I'm saying like I usually talk about conflict resolution and the importance of having a conflict resolution framework before conflict even erupts in your space, they can look through my Instagram and see that like I actually do talk about it. So that's kind of how it's connected. It's not like I have one specific offer, like at this time, this is my offer. It's like all my offers are kind of interconnected, which is like me speaking about something, um, and sharing like what I know about it, my knowledge and my expertise. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I get it clarified too. And then so CTA at the last slide. Yeah, CTA. Or I'm doing social media for someone else. I'm helping them out. And something I've noticed that works well is CTA in the middle slides as like a surprise. Like sharing like an offer in the middle of the slides or like how they can connect. So like I feel like that makes sense for like a quiz, right? Like if you have a quiz or something fun that someone can do and it's like another funnel, if you put it in the middle, like by the way, this is my quiz where you could see this and then you're continuing on to the next slide. So yeah, end or middle. I always like to put a CTA just in case because it is true. Like I feel like I learned this in bro marketing, bro business. But it's true, I think. Even like I talk about this in community work too, where like you gotta have to share what your offer is. Otherwise people won't know. So it's okay to share what you're doing or where people can find more or like how they can connect with you more. So don't be scared to do it. Like I really do take, again, this is from like bro marketing when they're like, if you see something 7 times, you're more inclined to buy it, or people buy something that they see 7 times. I think that's with a lot of things, like even in community. If you want someone to understand, like, this is a part of the culture that we're trying to create in this space, like visibility. We want everyone to be visible. Saying it 7 times, it's like, okay, if folks are going to say, like, yeah, 1 or 2 times, I have ADHD, I'm going to forget. So, um, I think, yeah, always share like what you're. I used to kind of be scared of like sharing, like, oh, and this is my workshop. But I'm like, why not? Yeah, I do workshops. I talk more about these things. So, like, yeah, if you want to come, cool. If you don't want to come, also cool. Thank you for reading the rest of the post. So I kind of used to be iffy about it, but yeah, it's like if you don't share, then people won't know what you're offering. Um, it's so heartening to hear I'm not the only one who feels like I'm not active enough on all the channels, emails. Yeah, I'm definitely not active enough. But I'm like, if you could be active on one and then add another one, I think that's good. Just like chunking it up and then slowly implementing it. How would you recommend pivoting for a non-serious meme account back to posting things with substance? That is a good question. Honestly, I did kind of, well, it's not that I did that. My Instagram, I've had my Instagrams for a lot of years. And yeah, at first I was posting like spiritual, like 111 posts. And then I was posting only my jewelry. And then I switched to ancestral community work. So it definitely can be done. The thing is like your audience is just going to adjust, and sometimes you can get in your head about it, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm losing followers, but like it just means that you're aligning with people who better understand like the content you're trying to create. So I would just say like blending it with the memes that you're already creating. Oh, Capitolia already said it. Yeah. So like your memes can be kind of serious. I actually love a good meme. Um, Even like with like some serious topics. It makes sense because like joy and laughter is how we get through hard things. So yeah, kind of implementing doing both. Um, oh yeah, doing part one, part two. My part twos come months later too, Capitolia. For sure. Do you pre-plan your content? Do you have a schedule? Okay, y'all. This is my secret for how I make my content. I make myself go on my walking pad and I create it. And it's my ADHD brain of like, okay, I know I need to walk on my walking pad. My goal is to get 10K steps, but I don't want to think about walking my walking pad because my ADHD is going to be like, you could be doing so much, something else. Like you could be doing something else. So making the content occupies my mind while I'm walking on my walking pad. And then something about the walking just makes the ideas come out. That's honestly what I do. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think yeah, with the visibility challenge, I was like, well, walking takes forever. Like, if you're doing 10K steps and like I work from home, so like if you're doing take 10K steps a day, walking just takes a long time. So I'm like, okay, I'll make the content while I'm walking on my walking pad. So, and my ADHD loves doing two tasks at once. So I walk on my walking pad and then I have a post. And each post honestly takes me about 20 minutes on my walking pad. So that's kind of how I do. I don't really pre-plan it in terms of like, this is what I'm talking about. This is not what I'm talking about. It's anything that comes up to mind, or because like, I am a part of community spaces and I'm like supporting some. Sometimes like those ideas come from like real life experiences that I'm experiencing at that moment. Um, I used to do like a couple years ago, I know folks were recommending like batching your content. I used to do that, but then I'm like, I hate this. So I don't really batch my content. I will say though, there are a lot of times where I'll start a post and I'll be like, never mind, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And then I'll be like, oh, I don't really have anything to post today, but I kind of want to post. So I'll kind of look back at my old posts and I'll adjust them a little bit and then I'll post them. And every single time that happens, it's a post that blows up. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe, I don't know. But like, so I do have like posts that I have started, and maybe if I'm not feeling it, I don't force myself to finish it because I think that's when it kind of becomes a sticky situation. And I want me creating my content to still feel like good. So any post that I start and maybe I just don't finish, I just keep it for later and I can always go back and then adjust it when I'm in a better mind frame. I'm not afraid to abandon posts that I started. Like, yeah, sometimes I'm on my walking pad and 15 minutes in, I'm like, I actually don't want to post this, don't want to talk about this. It's just not flowing. So I like kind of let it go. And then sometimes I come up with something else or I take a break, but then I know that I can always come back to it. And it's actually been really beneficial. I've noticed. Like I've done that with quite a few posts, and those are always the posts that blow up too. So it's really interesting. Sometimes I'm like, maybe it's the timing. Like I'm like, what's going on with the astrology? So, um, God forbid we tell people what our businesses are. What do you think about bringing chaotic content to Instagram? I've been hearing that Instagram is more for polished content and TikTok can be more free. Honestly, I don't know, and y'all can tell me too. I feel like my content can be a little chaotic, but I don't know. I say like, I don't know actually. I'm all for bringing chaotic content. I think Instagram, yeah, it's like we like maybe curated like aesthetic things. That's kind of what I say with like the maybe it's like playing the game, like the aesthetics of it, of like maybe like the fonts and the colors, but like what you're saying could be chaotic. I think everyone loves a little bit of chaos. But oh wait, that's yeah, I'm all for bringing it on Instagram. I feel like Instagram is changing a lot too. Um, yeah. So bring the chaos. I think that's great. Um,
I have a question about the chaos. Do
oh
you
yeah.
Would you say that when we are creating these, if our content creation process is chaotic in the beginning, would you say we have to clean up after some time when we like look back? Like, what is the approach to the chaos when we are moving forward with the creation of the content?
Or you mean the post that you already have created?
Like every day, we like. I think I for okay, maybe I really need to ask this. For those of us who are starting an account from scratch,
Hmm.
and we are like, for me, I like struggle with extreme, I'm working with like inner oppression, shyness, risking myself, and all of that. And then there is like other side of feeling safe, and the safety that referring to is really related to literally like feeling safe if I want to really create, if I want to add, if I want to share the stuff that I want to say, and then that on its own creates this chaos for me. And if I like you're saying that it's okay, like we can do that, which people like it, but then like it's interesting for me because for me specifically, I feel like, oh, I don't need chaos if I'm going to Instagram, and that also tells me of the kind of people that I want to attract because I want to calm myself down, but then at the same time I'm contradicting myself. And I feel like I would love to ask, like, for your guidance, like, how do you approach that uncertainty of that chaos? Like, just go show up and then, like, create whatever, like, it's like a vision board that we create in our Instagram. That's how I'm seeing it. And then I just feel like the ADHD and all of these like different things that we have, like the obsessions, the perfectionism, or all of the stuff that are coming up when I'm like looking back, I have this tendency of like, okay, I'm gonna delete this Instagram account again, and I've done that a lot. So like
Mm.
want your advice, like how do we look at our that how do we look at that chaos?
Okay, yeah. To me, that really names, again, with like also ADHD, like the perfectionism aspect, right? Of like, if it feels like it's not completely flowing as I intend, then I feel like I need to start all over from scratch. Is that kind of like, am I kind of getting it?
Just just share your intuitive guidance, advice on this is your view on how we can approach our anxiety, all of the stuff that come up when we are pouring that chaos into the space that we are creating. Because I think we can also like stop ourselves from creating when we keep looking back at that chaos and not feeling good about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, yeah, I think a little bit of it's like connected to perfectionism, which a lot of neurodivergent brains like have an interesting relationship with. But the way I think about it too, right? Like sometimes I'm like, sometimes I do question what I'm about to post, right? Sometimes I'm like, is it too much? Is this actually what I want to talk about? Whatever the case may be. And the thing is, I could put it out and see how I feel. And also, I could always delete it. I don't have to delete my whole page, but I like to tell myself that at the end of the day, I can delete it off of my feed if I really want to, or I could archive it or whatever the case may be. If it feels like it doesn't sit or resonate, especially the way that I intend, that is something I could always do. Like I remember I made a post, it was chaotic. It was a post about people pleasers, which people pleasing, especially in community work, it can be like a very like sensitive topic. I know it's always going to bring up some chaotic feelings, right? And so the reception on it was honestly okay, but there was also some feedback on it that was like it just felt like it was bringing in more chaos and like hurt feelings and things like that. So I just archived the page and I was like, maybe this is something I can revisit in a couple months, knowing what I know, knowing that feedback, and approach it in a different way. It may not be even less chaotic, right? Because again, it's a subject that does tend to be chaotic, but it's at least something I could take that experience and see, okay, like how do I really want to explore this on my page? Like you're allowed to kind of edit, luckily, your page and your social medias, and you're also allowed to like archive things that no longer resonate with you, right? Like before I did the challenge, not right before, but a couple months before, I went through my Instagram and I actually archived a lot of things. I'm like, this doesn't fit what I'm doing right now. It just doesn't fit what I want to put out there anymore. Um, and like maybe eventually it will again, but like for this moment, I kind of just like cleared out my feed. That's kind of how I start over without like completely taking over. Because like I said before, like I used to be the person who's like started the essay, then start completely again. And I know that's also not really beneficial to us as well. Like that's where that perfectionism link comes, and then we end up not committing and continuing like what we're working on. So kind of giving myself the out of like, hey, if I post something, it's also okay if it doesn't resonate with me a day, a week, even a year later. Um, that's totally fine. So I kind of I think I'm interpreting it correctly of like, yeah, sometimes like these chaotic moments, they just like no longer serve us to have on our page anymore. Um, but like we could have that feeling of like okay then starting completely over, but sometimes it's just like those few couple posts or those few couple moments that we're able to like just put aside so that we don't have to start all over.
Can I ask you another question? What is your definition of chaos? Because like when I'm listening to you and I'm like kind of like reading the comments, it's so interesting that I feel like chaos looks so different for each of us.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Like for me when I think of chaos, um it's just like things that maybe cause like a lot of energy and a lot of feelings, like heightened feelings is what I think about when
like
I think in
frame other
chaos.
people or create like attract the tension or negativity or do we look at chaos like negatively or not? Like, yeah, I think it's so fucking cultural too. Like, and it just like
Yeah.
doesn't speak to the dogmas or yeah, just like I think
I mean, that's true. I honestly don't look at chaos necessarily as negative. Um, yeah, I just think like it's like very heightened energy. It can feel tense, right? But again, like tension to me isn't always negative. I feel like tension can be good too at times. But it's just like heightened energy, like it's a lot and it brings up big feelings. Um, and it's not necessarily contained. So it could go any direction too. So like yeah, like I would say like my posts again, people I'm no longer building community with, That was chaotic to me. For some people, it could have been like a negative, like you shouldn't do that. Or for some, but so for some people, it was liberating. They're like, yes, I actually like am tired of accepting this behavior in my life. So to me, it was a little chaotic. The feedback I got was a little chaotic, but overall, the feedback was positive. Wasn't necessarily a like bad thing. Um, so that's how kind of I interpret chaos. But like for me, like it's almost similar to conflict, right? Like I don't think conflict's negative. I know it can bring up big feelings. I know it can bring up uncomfortable feelings, but I also see how conflict can be liberation too. So it's similar in that vein. Okay, I'm gonna look at the chats. Um, I'm very behind on the challenge, so may have been addressed, but I've been seeing people put CTAs in the middle of the carousel recently. Oh yeah, I think I talked about that, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, Cap, I see your question. How does your relationship to visibility in general shift through this? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, that's actually a really good question. I kind of realized that you could be visible and it doesn't mean that you have to like share every single thing of your life, which especially in the era of influencers and content creators, right? It's so interesting to think about because I think people really value like transparency and vulnerability and really relatability, which I also value too. When I think for the most part for my business and the work I do, I am very transparent. I usually share like this is my background, this is what I'm doing. But it doesn't also mean that I have to like bare my soul to the internet. And there are some things I share that like are personal, but I don't have to share everything. And sometimes I think, well, I was thinking of like, okay, you're visible. That means like you're sharing every single thing. And as a Scorpio rising, that really scares me. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to share every single thing. But I think like, yeah, being transparent where it makes sense, but also like you could keep things to yourself, right? So, but then also like that balance of like, yes, I want to relate with people and connect with people. But it doesn't mean that I have to like share everything. Right. And I think a good example too is like again on that vein of like influencers, right? Like I really appreciate like I don't like maybe like content creators like mom content creators, right? Like when they like kind of shield their kids from being on camera and things like that or like filming them. I'm like, "Oh, like they're still like, sharing parts of their life and they're still like um sharing like their them being a mom, but they're not like putting it all out there. Like they're protecting their kids in that sense. That's kind of how I think about like certain things like that too. And it's like I'm allowed to still show up, but it doesn't mean that I have to like share every single intimate part of myself. And kind of finding that balance for me what has been really helpful. And it's made creating content easier too and like stop overthinking certain things. So that's kind of how it shifted. Um, and then what had to change and shift? Is there anything you had to stop doing? The thing that I had to stop doing was overthinking my content because I could be on Canva and be like, this looks so cool. Like I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this. And it was like, okay, you're spending 2 hours like looking through the templates and you haven't made one post. So yeah, kind of like figuring out, okay, like what makes sense for me and my capacity too. Because again, like I'm still in education, so I still work full time. During that summer, I was doing my business and then I had another summer job. So it's just like also what capacity do I have? I don't have time to be on Canva for 2 hours picking the right template. So um, I really kind of was like, okay, I need to do this with my capacity in mind, which If you look at my content, a lot of the times I do talk about capacity. Maybe I talk about it less, but like capacity to me is huge. I think honoring our capacity can be really supportive. I really value rest and like not overexerting ourselves in the name of productivity. So I was like, okay, if that's something that I talk about, I actually have to do that. So that's what I would say. Um, Also, though, this kind of like, I don't know if it's like hypocritical to say, but for the visibility challenge too, I was experimenting. So I was posting 3 times a day. Now that's a lot, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but a lot of it too was like already, like I said, it's like mini essays that I have and mini notes. Um, so a lot of it I was just taking from my notes app and I was putting it on a Canva. So it wasn't like I was creating something so many times. But again, I kind of was like, I'm not afraid to fail. There's nothing I could do to fail. It's Instagram actually. Like I actually cannot fail. It's just Instagram. So I was like kind of experiencing or experimenting of like, okay, like how do I want to articulate these things? Do I always want to be like these people I'm not building community with? Do I want to do like a little poem? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? So I kind of allowed myself to do that and post different things and it didn't mess up my engagement. I know like there's all these rules, right, where people are like don't post this many times or post this many times and like wait between these. I just didn't do that. I was like whatever happens happens and I'll see whatever works. And it really did rewire something in my brain of like I know like on Instagram, it'll tell me you should be posting at noon because most of your followers are going to engage with your content at noon. I honestly don't follow that. When I kind of threw those things out the window and I just focus on like my content, what I want to say, and been showing up consistently, I saw overall improvement mentally too, of like, oh, I can sustainably do this. I don't have to think about all these rules that I honestly don't believe in. Um, so I think that was the biggest thing that helped is like kind of disregarding the rules. And then how would you recommend? Oh, I think I already said that. Um, my Instagram engagement has been in the toilet for years. It doesn't bother me until I'm in launch mode, like right now, and I want more folks to actually see my set. I'm trying to mix up length and format, but it feels very meh. Do you have any particular taste of either getting over it? Okay, so Meg, I feel like kind of what I was saying towards like, well, this is the time that you could try things out and you could just see for yourself, like, yeah, what's going on? Like your can engagement can't get lower, so might as well like use this time to kind of like figure things out, try things, different things out. Um, Even with less pressure when you're doing a launch. I think also too, the pressure of a launch can be a lot. So you're in launch mode now, so maybe it feels a little bit like stickier to try things out. But maybe when you're outside of launch mode, that could be the time to kind of experiment with your content. So the next time you launch, you kind of have a better understanding. That's kind of what comes to mind for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard because there's so much pressure sometimes for a post to do well. But even now, I'm kind of like, if the post does well, it does well. If it doesn't, it's okay. It's hard, but it's like, it's okay.
Can I ask a question about launching? When we are starting an account from scratch and there's so much that we have to offer actually, but we are creating our offers as we are going, but we're also introducing ourselves to people and attracting whatever, like, people that are drawn that we want to make community with them and our potential clients. Do we start, would you like say that Like, what is your, I mean, I know that all of us are different, but I'm so curious to hear everyone and your feedback on, do we like wait for, I don't know, 50 posts, then start offering, or can we just put our offers, whatever that we're offering, as a service, as whatever that we're offering?
Mm,
Like, what is the consistency? Like, how do we, like once a week, or can it's just like it's again up to us, but what is the best strategy to work on that thing that we want to offer? And at the same time, we're just starting to test ourselves, introduce ourselves, feel, basically create everything. It's just really up to, like, it's really related to the profiles that are starting from scratch. Because I'm there.
yeah. Well, honest, so to me, like sharing your offers and launching are two different things, too, right? Because I can, like my for someone to book a workshop with me, right? That's ongoing, right? Like that could happen anytime. So even then with that too, there's like less pressure because it's not necessarily I have like numbers attached to like who's booking a workshop with me in like a certain quarter or a certain week. So I can like, yeah, I would just do like my post talking about what I want to talk about. And then at the end, I would say, and by the way, this is one of my offers that I do. If you want me to talk more about this topic in your container, this is how you can connect to me, right? And usually that like funnels through my website. But like with a launch, I would say like building that audience and community or slash community. It really depends on what your offer is because some people they really want to be more community based and some people want to be more audience based. And it can be really, sometimes it doesn't really feel different, but actually in application, it can be different. If that's the case, then I think like kind of building it up a little before your launch is helpful. But while you're building it up before you hit a launch, I think if you're just sharing your offer, like that is still connecting and that's still building a connection with other people so they know, okay, like you're posting about this and this is also a way that you can put it in practice or that folks can connect with you if it's something they want to further explore. So maybe for a launch, like again, I get this from like marketing bro business, but like launching, I like to give a lot of time, right? If I'm talking about something, an offer that's like open close enrollment, I give it 2 weeks where I'm just constantly talking about that offer. But if it's just like ongoing offers and I'm just posting, I would say it's like posting and sharing at the end of the post or in the captions of like, by the way, this is how you can work with me, or this is something I offer. Um, as you're continuing to build that audience or community or both, whatever is your intentions with it. Um, okay, I think. Does anyone else have any questions? I'm looking to see if I missed anything. Yes, Carly.
Hey, thanks so much for sharing what you've been working on and all the chaos. Um, I was just wondering, like, it sounds like with your content, I had written this in the chat, but I wanted to touch on it too, was like, there's a big difference between putting out posts as a like content creator who's getting paid for like likes, comments, reposts, brand collaborations versus people like, I think most of the folks in this group are business owners or like service providers. And so I'm noticing like a lot of back and forth of the content creation and like this, oh, we're posting every day and posting at this time and this and that. And a lot of the advice that leans towards like content creator influencer advice. And that's where a lot of people get so mixed up and confused. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate you sharing as someone who like you offer a service and you're a business. So you're like, I don't really need to follow all of these, post at this time because that's when people are going to be on and stuff. Because it's not about seeking the likes and the brand deals. It's about just letting people know like who we are what we're doing, what we're offering. Does that sound like, does that resonate with with part of what you're getting across here as like your posting strategy?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the thing about that I've noticed about Instagram lately too, again, it could change, is that like I'm still getting likes and recognition of the post or people engaging with the post from weeks later,
Yeah,
which usually you're told like, okay, you post and then you continue, you post and then you continue. It's like gone. So that's kind of how I'm like, it's going to show up on someone's feed even if it's delayed. So might as well have all of the information there because even if it's a year later, at least I have like my CTA ways you can work with me, even if it shifts for me a little
right.
bit. And I think content creation is like very much like real time. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't care about the rules because yeah, I've had people who are like, I just saw your post and it was like from a year later and they're working with me now.
Exactly. It's those clients that are like binging your content later, like they found a service provider in one way or another, whether they found it from an ad or a referral or from one of your posts going viral or whatever. But then they go in and like they binge your content. So it doesn't really matter like at what time you posted it or how many you posted in a specific day, right?
Yeah, yeah, honestly, yeah. And also for folks who want to do like more speaking engagements, which I would recommend going to conferences, let me tell you. Sometimes it has really changed my experience. Like this summer was the time that I was being a speaker and like they're paying way more for a lot less work and a
Can
lot
you
less like having to do sales
can you tell us
for
a little bit more about
anyone.
that too?
Oh yeah, happy to. But
I love info dumping. Like I love talking about my subjects that I'm interested in. And so like to be a public speaker or a pod on a podcast, I saw someone in the big group chat on the Telegram talking about how she got invited to be a podcast. And right away I was like, I'm so happy for you, but I'm so jealous.
yeah, no, yeah. So my experience is that they're looking at your Instagram. Like that's kind of your, and content creation, you have a one page or what is it called? A media kit. For businesses, I find, especially like more online space businesses or businesses of this realm, right? They're looking at your social media is your media kit. So like when I was applying to a bunch of different conferences, they always ask you like, okay, propose like what are you going to talk about? So I would say like, oh, I'm an expert in talking about perfectionism, blah, 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 blah. And then I would like link a post like this is what I talked about and see how many people were engaged. Like this is actually a really popular topic. And then usually, or depending on the conference, they'll ask for like videos, right, of like you actually speaking. When I first started, I hadn't done conferences at all, but I was like, I have social media videos. I have a podcast, so I have those videos. So I would give those links instead. So it's like, yeah, your Instagram is again, even if you're not getting like so many engagements, but your posts are amazing, it can lead to other opportunities where maybe they don't care. Okay, you got 20 likes, but I could see that you really, really are expert in this field. Um, and in terms of honestly, I don't know. I'm not an expert when it comes to getting speaking engagements. I actually feel like I have to like get back into it. But something that my number one tip when people ask me like, how do you start? Because I didn't pay for like, I know there's programs you can pay for, you can pay for memberships and things like that. My first tip is to apply for conferences, even that don't feel like they're a part of your niche, right? Like the first conference I got a paid speaking gig too, because not all speaking gigs pay was an influencer one. And let me tell you, it blew my mind. I was like, influencers are making this much. It was for like DIY influencers. So people who make DIY videos on Instagram and TikTok. There was no one else talking about what I talked about. I was talking about like I do inclusion work. They're like, "Oh, that's great." Like no one else. But and so like it wasn't in my niche, but I was the only one talking about what I talked about and then a lot of people were really interested and it actually got me into other things and other conferences. And then I was able to learn about industry that I had no idea about. So that's my first tip is like, don't be afraid to apply. Like I applied to a tech conference that I did. I was like, I know nothing about tech, but apparently inclusion work in tech is actually really big. So like things like that. And then in terms of searching for conferences, again, this isn't like the best advice. Like I've gotten a couple, I've done maybe a total of 7 conferences, 5 of them paid. Um, what I do is I just type in Google like speakers needed or speaker application. How I find them because there's other like you I know you could be a part of like these other things, but you have to pay like a $250 membership and things like that. I don't have the time. I just need to get into a conference. So that's what I do. And then for podcasts, I pitch myself. I have my own podcast too. I'm kind of on a pause, but I notice that that's what people do to talk to get onto my podcast, right? They'll just find an email, they'll pitch themselves, say, this is what I could talk about, this is what I think your audience would like. And I also do the same. I actually feel like getting on a podcast is way easier than we tend to think. Like when I first was trying to be a guest, I was like, it's so intimidating. I don't know. But actually people are really open to having people on their podcast. I know when I was in law or when I was really doing my podcast, I was always looking for guests, especially as a solo podcaster. Capitolia has been on the podcast a lot of times. I'm like, let's talk about this. So, um, those are my tips. I'm not an expert, but like that's how I kind of got my foot in the door.
Nike, do you mind if I pop in with something also? I
Oh
just
yeah.
like piggyback on what you said here. You're so right with like your social media being beyond just like a day-to-day channel for communicating with your audience or whatever, but really this like authority building platform built over time, like and how powerful that is. I was just thinking about this, that like when I was entering the work sphere, I had gone to an environmental college and then was looking for jobs that were in the sustainability sphere. And I became like over and over again a top candidate for all the jobs that I applied for within the sustainability industry because, yeah, okay, I went to the environmental school, so they're like, okay, you're committed. But then they also saw like I was taught in college and grad school, like, you should be fucking tweeting about stuff and just showing consistently that you are always thinking and engaged with the topic. So it was like me versus other candidates for the same job. I was always getting boosted to the topics. They were like, oh, you have this body of work, even if it wasn't, yeah, the most deep content. They were like, but you've been talking about sustainability for a fucking decade. So like that really does matter that y'all are showing up around your topics and contributing your thoughts around the things over a long period of time can really help your personal brands in every element from your business. Like your clients will see like, oh my god, yeah, this person is serious, they've been talking about this forever, to jobs that you apply for that are in your sphere. I just really love thinking about social media in that way too, of just like a demonstration of your passion and your expertise. And I don't know, yeah, it could be, I think you could create a really impactful presence in a short term too. Like, the more specific you are. Anyway, I don't really know where I'm going with this outside of, I really loved that piece of what you were sharing, and I've experienced it myself to be really true of how that can set you apart from other folks, going for similar opportunities as you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh, yes.
Sorry, guys, I didn't raise my hand like a rude person. Um, on that note, do we like if we have like if we have so many different offers, if we have so many different things that we want to share, is it the right strategy to share all of that in our Instagram, or do we have to stick with one layer of us or 3 layers of us? Is there a limit to that? Or it's just like the sky is a limit? Like, what do you guys say?
When you say different offers, like is it all around the same topic or you mean different niches even?
I think if like mostly what I'm referring to is when we are not just only this one person who is going to like one coach, one magician, one painter, like, we are different things and we want to share our different offerings or even that one offering that that is related to that current offering, that current project that we're working on. But then at the same time, is it okay if our Instagram can be a space for holding all of us as well as multiple offers? Or is it going to create distraction for the audience?
I honestly feel like it just depends on your niche and your offer. Like it depends on what you're talking about, is what I would say. Um, yeah, because like I do a lot of different things, right? Like I have my small business, right? But also on the side, I help create content for other people. Like I help create content for like psychic mediums and things like that. But I wouldn't necessarily say that's an offer I have that I share through my Instagram, right? It's kind of just like a need to know. Like so, some people know and some people don't, and that's how I get clients. Because it just wouldn't make sense for like my brand. Now I have a friend who's like a psychic medium, but then she's also a channel, but then also she does a podcast. So like she has multiple different offers, right? Like you could book a reading with her, and then you could do like a channeling session through her Patreon, and then she also has the podcast. But it's all in the same realm. So she could talk about those different things, right? Like each post is different. Like some is like a channeling session and she's talking about her experiences with ETs and things like that. And other times she's talking more so about like spirituality and how to connect to your intuition. And then sometimes she's talking about her podcast and it's still spiritual, but she's talking about like pop culture. So it's like different offers, but it's all in the same arena. So yeah, I think it just depends on like your offer and your niche.
Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm trying to find you. Okay, I see you.
Hi. Hi. Thank you so much for this. This is so inspiring and amazing. And thank you for just being yourself. Sorry, I also couldn't find the raising hand, but yeah, this is a similar question, and maybe I can also uh ask everyone in the room your opinions because I'm a musician and that's like what I'm forward facing, pushing the most, but I also have just started a creative doula consultancy practice where I do one-on-ones with people using their birth charts to figure out their like creative blocks or map out creative projects and stuff. And I am confused about how I feel like those two things can merge, but all of the advice I get about like how to make it as a musician is like, you have to just show your music, that's it. Like, you'll be punished by the algorithms or people will be confused. And I've had my Instagram maybe for like 10 years or something, and I've shape shifted a lot. And so it's affirming to me that you're saying like, yeah, I just was this, and then I was selling my jewelry, and then I was doing this. So I guess my question kind of is like, do you think that those two things can live as one, or would you recommend making a whole new page for like the astrology creative consultancy business? Because I talk about creativity on my Instagram and I post like little videos of me playing and stuff, but um, yeah, I've struggled to grow there, and I'm just curious. I'm talking a lot, but I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like having several different Instagrams can be a lot. Again, like when I think about capacity, I'm like, I couldn't have different Instagrams for different things I do. But then also I could see like, I guess it's just like, how does it both connect and what is the offer that you want to invest in the most at this time? Because again, it can change. Like I've had so many different offers, it changes all the time. Um, but I feel like yeah, it does it when folks say like you should focus on one thing, especially for the algorithm. Maybe it's for the algorithm too, but I also think it's like the audience and community of like, okay, like what should they expect from you and how can they relate and connect with you? So, but I'm sure Capitolia has some good advice too. I feel like if they connect, again, it just depends on your niche, right? So, like if your music connects with this consulting too, then it makes sense to blend them as you're sharing it, even if they go to two different offers because they kind of connect with each other. But I just think about the audience and community base part of like, yeah, how is your audience and community going to connect with it? And does it make sense from what they're expecting from your page?
That makes total sense. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna tap into just because you mentioned my name. I think what you said is totally aligned, and I just wanted to give an example of like, how this might play. Like, I think at the end of the day, you can make anything work as long as you make it transparent and understandable to your audience. So you might connect these two things by doing some sort of content series that's like, welcome to day one of like I'm creative doulaing my own, musical practice or whatever. I don't know. So someone, for instance, that feels in alignment is Kitty Noor. Kitty Noor is like a DJ, a poet, uh, artist, but also is a creativity coach for other artists. So, in one element on her platform, she's showcasing herself as the artist while also creating content that's relevant to artists and creatives and musicians and stuff overall. So, I'm going to post her here. I feel like I would just be conscious of like how can you story tell all of this in a way that really makes sense to your audience for anything, y'all. This is for any of these things that you're like, oh my god, do I have to do this or do I get to be thing A or thing B? You can be all of it. You just have to learn how to tell the story in a way that like your people are gonna it's gonna land. Oh yeah, it's obvious you're an artist and you consult with artists and creatives and et cetera, et cetera. So I would just like play with how you can bring it out in a way everyone else is going to get be able to grasp. But there's nothing that you can't do and make sense in my mind. It makes sense because you're you. And then also there are times where you're like, I actually, for my own sanity, need to break these things up. Like for me, I I don't really spend any time on it, but I have like a separate tarot page. That's where I send my like local fucking in-person tarot clients. I'm just like, here's a page that just shows that part of me. But it was for me, it was just more simple than like having to think about weaving in tarot into my current presence. Like I mentioned that I'm a tarot reader. I've been reading tarot for 20 years consistently. So it made sense to move my stuff over. It's so personal that there is not like one particular way. I would just really like sit and lay out like how can I make sense? How can I make this make sense? How can I tell the story? How can I be transparent with my audience? And yeah, you can make anything work.
Yeah. And someone brought up a good point in the comments too about like, or they mentioned like, like politics, like talking about politics and those things. I think there's like, you have like different offers, but then there's also those things that like make your personality, your branding, who you are, that I would always encourage talking about, especially like these days. Like, I might follow someone again for like their marketing, right? Like Capitolia, but then I'm also looking at their politics too. And when it's ever like I never advise like just focusing on like one thing, like this is only what I talk about and it's my business and I don't talk about anything else because it like this is just what the page is for. Like I know a lot of people promote that, especially like 2020 wellness space. Like people are like, it doesn't matter anything else that's happening. We're just talking about astrology on this page or this, but all of those other things are interconnected if you really look at it. So, not dulling it down to just be about your one niche and content. I think you could bring other things in. In fact, that's what a lot of people are looking for. And that's how you build like an actually authentic, aligned community because those values are in place, not just like what you're offering. Um, okay. Oh, yes. Christiana? Am I
You
pronouncing?
got it. I guess it just depends on whether or not you want to pronounce it the British way, but my parents are British, so it's like either way works. I was gonna say, one, thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience. I feel like it's very valuable to everybody. And just like the amount of diversity that we've covered in this like small period of time has been really eye-opening for, I guess, myself as a content creator and everyone else here. But I kind of wanted to ask you if you could give us like three major takeaways from your experience creating content in the online space, specifically on Instagram. Like whatever just comes through the channel, I was just hoping to get like some point form, like these are my go-to sort of like things that I hinge on when I'm creating content. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'd say go to like find your format and stick to it so you're not spending time like overthinking. Like I'm such an overthinker. So yeah, like you're not spending time overthinking whatever feels good to you. The colors, the fonts, the formatting. If you want to do poems, if you want to do mini essays like how I do, if you want to do just short blurbs, if you want to do reels and you like just know your format because then you can just focus on the content and then later you can change the formatting if you want. Especially when you're in this visibility challenge. Then another takeaway is like make the rules work for you. You know, like the advice, the rules, when you're supposed to post, the hashtags, things like that. Like a very long time ago, I used to work for a business coach, and what she said made sense with like hashtags, right? She's like, don't put hashtags that are in the millions because it's really hard to show up in the feed, but also don't do hashtags that are like 1,000 less because no, that means no one's engaging with them. Do like in the 100,000s, and maybe then you have a chance to actually be in the feeds. And I've actually noticed that does work, right? So it's not like I'm spending all my time looking for like particular hashtags, but I kind of like sprinkle that in. So I'm making it work for me. And then like, yeah, sometimes it works, but it's not something that I'm like rigid about. So like not being so rigid about the rules that it's kind of like dictating your content, but using those rules so when you're doing your content, it's working to your benefit. Because actually at the end of the day too, everything's fake, everything's made up. So whatever works out for you. And then I would say my last point would be, oh, honestly, like the fact that you're even like willing to show up and talk about whatever you want to talk about is amazing. It's commendable, right? I've gotten so many messages ever since I blew up of like people saying, I could talk about this. But then they're like a faceless account and they have no posts and no of these things. And I'm like, yeah, honestly, anyone can talk about what I'm talking about. I'm sure so many people have insight on this. The only difference is that I'm the one who's willing to put that information out there. So the folks who are already doing it, that's amazing. Even if people come to your DMs, they start being haters because inevitably you will have that, they're not doing it. So there might be moments where you doubt what you're posting that is feels like there's not a lot of engagement or likes, but at least you have the balls to do it. At least you are like putting yourself out there and you are, you know, like even giving a chance to do it. And I think like that is important when it comes to being visible, right? And connecting with your audience and your community. I'm pro like building an online community. I'm like, get from the audience to the community because your community is going to hold you down when, especially when you need it. To building that community is like being brave enough to show up and say the things that other people are waiting for people to say. That's all my content is like a lot of people, the feedback is, I've been thinking this but I don't know how to say it, or I don't know if I can say it. So that would be my three takeaways.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. Really, really, you have no idea how you are impacting so many of us and the energies that you are moving, so much stagnation, so much confusion. It's just beyond helpful. I'm just immensely grateful. Thank you.
Oh yeah. No, and I'm so excited for y'all again. Like the fact that y'all are showing up, sharing what you're sharing, I think is so amazing.
Okay, we have 3 minutes. I have one last question for you. Real quick, what is the difference for you between a community and an audience? And why do you, I focus on community also, like
Hmm.
an audience community. Maybe I do a fusion, but what's the difference?
I mean, I think on the online space, it's inevitable that you're going to have a fusion. If we're if we're real about it, like you're going to have a fusion for sure. But the difference for me is an audience is there to like observe and take what you're giving them, essentially, right? Like they're consuming the content. A lot of times we feel like, oh, maybe it's an exchange because they're giving us likes or comments and things like that. But that is like a slight exchange. A community is where you're really building these interpersonal connections. Um, a community is where it's probably that your values are connecting as well. Like the people who are in your community, it's usually that you have shared values and you're committed to those values. While an audience might just like to see what's what you're putting out, but they may not have to may not need to resonate with your values in order to view your content. Um, so it is harder to build a community, right? Especially in the online space. I think to have a community, like a lot of times, people will have their page and they'll say, this is a community, but they're just, that's like a nice way to say audience. Really, to get to that community part, I think you have to have like some sort of connection, whether it's like you're doing circles, groups, programs, where you really are getting to know the person and they're getting to know you, and there is some sort of exchange. Even if it's mentee, mentor, there is some exchange. I get a lot of wisdom and advice and guidance from my mentees. I'm not the only one giving them something. It's really like a relationship. So like even my page right now, I would not say my page is a community, ironically, even though I help community spaces. But like if I wouldn't say like for my page, this is a community, we're all together. It's very much more so an audience. I know a lot of people who do follow me probably have the similar shared values, and that can then, if I ever decide to do like a program or when I do my workshops or when I have like whatever, then we could start building that community and getting to know one another. But yeah, I think a lot of online talk says this is a community, but there really has to be some sort of action with it where you really are getting to know someone or people. And it doesn't mean that your audience can't eventually become your community. It just means that you do need a little bit more work. Community takes work. It's actually a lot of work. It's not easy. So yeah.
Yay, thank you, Nike. And if anyone, wants to go hang out with Nike, go learn more from her. Here is Nike's Instagram. Let me
Oh
put it
yeah,
in
if you follow me,
here.
I'll follow you back. So I
Yes,
see.
yes, yes, I love it. You're a tarot reader turned nervous system disruptor cycle breaker. Listening to Nike made me realize I need to do a group program rather than one-on-one, where women have space to be in community and be held. Yes, create that community.
Yes, y'all, people are craving community. Like, we need it so badly, and everyone's scared because we've been hurt. So it's like we want it, but then we don't want it. So someone has to like try to do it.
Yes, yes, I love it. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Nike. And if anyone has more, general questions around your presence and like making sense of the different parts of you and all of these things, feel free to add them into the Telegram. You have access to the collective mind here. And I'm tapping in there also with advice and some of the other amazing guests we've had are also inside of the Telegram answering things too. So please utilize that space while we have it. It's a little micro community. It pops up and then it's going to disappear. So use it while we have it. Lean into the asset and the resource. And I will see y'all later. Our next guest call is with Isabel, who I think is still in here right now. Um, we are doing like a mini sensual selfies for.
Oh my gosh, Cap left. Well, they're doing a mini sensual selfie for something. But I don't know the rest.
Yeah, is Isabel here to let us know? Like,
Oh yeah, sensual selfie for social session. Okay, exciting. And Isabel, when is it? Next week?
Yes, I'm excited to chat with y'all on Monday at 6 p.m. EST, 3 p.m. PST Pacific time. So that'll be this coming Monday, January 26th. So thank you, Nike, for your session. I'm so much value. And I'm excited to chat with you all on how to take your own brand photos with your phones. But yeah.
Ugh, I love that. All my photos I took by myself. So I love that actually. Alrighty. Did Capitolia come back or? Oh,
Yeah, my computer died. Oops. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nike. See y'all on Monday.